Hi. In this video, we continue our discussion and complete the income statement part, which is normalizing the data and also addressing the retained earning portion. During editing, I realized that I had failed to rename the file. So I advise you to rename the file from 7.finmod to 8.finmod Britannia IS normalized before following instructions in this video. Now, before we continue working around with our file, our previous video, we have already got our reported income statement from the historical data section. Now, all the row items which we can see, which is coming from here, which is row number 84, and if I can go up all the way up to row number 35 or 34, so basically everything over here, everything is part of our reported P&L. What we can do is that we can group this rows. Where to go, where to or how to group them. We go to this data section, we come to this outline, and this is where we have. Apart from that, the shortcut could be after you select all the rows which we want to group, we use Alt A. In my case, it is ZO. With an outline, we get group G, and I have this G. I press this, and the moment I press G, we have this everything under group. Now, since I can just group this section. Now, before we group and experiment on these, let's understand what the structure is there. First of all, when we look at our normalized structure, we have this total revenue. In the second case, we have total cost of goods sold. Let's address this, which is total revenue section. When we come to the reported segment, we find there are two, or basically the three overall line item for the total income part. We have total operating revenue. Within that, we have sale of goods and other operating revenue. Now, my intention is to show you just for a moment a financial year 2025 annual report for revenue from operations notes to accounts. Let's go to PDF. Now, when we come to this note number 29, we find that revenue from operations is already given. I would like to see if there is any kind of bifurcation of the revenues. What as of now in the note number 29, we cannot find the bifurcation on neither on the basis of geographical location nor on the basis of product level. The notes to account also says that it has some more information in note number 53. So let's go over there. Now, when we look at note number 23, so we have some revenue streams, which says the group is primarily involved in manufacturing, sale of various food products. In descriptions, we find sale of goods, other operating revenues. We have this aggregation of revenue from the contracts with customer, and the bifurcation which we can get is India and others. This is what is presented. Apart from that, there is a reconciliation of net of sales of goods, which gives us an information about gross sales value, stock returns, discount, promotion, sale of goods. I don't see any other information which is going to be relevant for us as a financial valuation expert or modeler. So we would be using the data, which is basically the disaggregation and reconciliation. Coming back in our file, and if we go to the revenue section, so in our historical data segment, we already have this kind of a bifurcation, which is coming in row number 114 up to row number 124. These line items we would be referring or doing or utilizing during our forecasting time as well. Now, what we need to do, we are just grouping this segment as well. So once again, I go to Alt A, Z O G G, and I have this group element. Now, what we are going to do is that now every data needs to be coming in this row as we have done for balance sheet. Now, for this total revenue, we are going to link it. From where we are going to link? We are not going to link it from here. So what we are going to do, we are going to connect this with row number 118, which is total operating revenue. So what we do, we are going to use a formula. So if we look at this total is turning out to be same, which is 13944.7, which is same. And again, if we just combine these two, this is also matching, which is this value and the sum value. So we just use a formula, which is going to be this plus this, and total sale of goods plus other operating revenues We copy this up to right, which is going to be control R for us. And we select this formula, control R and control R. As of now, what we can see, there are zeros. And what we would be doing is that the moment we have a forecast for the revenue coming from India, we will link that data in cell number K115, and automatically we are going to put the structure in such a way that total operating revenue calculated in row number 118 will come to the normalized section. So just look what I'm doing. So selecting the array, which is from cell number G118, shift control right, control C, I go up in cell number G6, control alt V and alt L. What do I have? I have everything which is coming from total revenue. So basically all these cells has been linked from cell number, sorry, row number 118. Now this is what we are done with revenue. The next part is of cost of goods sold. Now when we come down, what we find is that there are multiple expense heads. And within those expense head, we have multiple row items, which is, for instance, COGS, operating expenses, depreciation, amortization, interest expenses. So few of the line items are directly presented. For instance, depreciation, amortization, interest, other income, these all are directly presented in other reported segment. So we are not going to be worrying about those line items. What we are going to focus right now is on COGS and operating expenses. So we come here, what we do, we start mapping around the reported line items. So cost of material consumed will go to COGS. So I just write COGS. This will go under COGS, which is purchase of stock and trade. Changes in work in progress will go to COGS. Employee benefit expenses will go under OPEX, operating expenses. Finance cost will be part of interest. Depreciation and amortization will be again D and A directly. Other expenses is what we need to check. That's what we need to check. Now, why we want to check this element? Let me show you once again the annual report. When we look at notes to account to other expenses, which is row number 35 for financial year 2025 report, consumption of stores, powers, power, fuel, rent, repairs, you can see there are multiple line items are there. And of course, these data are also there for there with us in our Excel files as well. The total value, which is 3,446.88, no doubt there are some of the line items which are, we can say, immaterial. But nevertheless, there are few line items which may not be part of any single expense head. For instance, if we talk about consumption of stores and spares, it's highly likely that this is part of COGS. Whereas if we talk about rent expenses, it's a part of OPEX. Insurance is part of OPEX. Rates and taxes, it's part of OPEX. Accordingly, we will have to actually bifurcate which element will go to where. Now let's come to other expenses head. And this time what we are going to do, we are going to create a separate pro forma for cost of goods sold. We come to cell number B126. We hard code this as COGS. We change the cell style to heading 4 in cell number B126. The first line item which we are going to keep is cost of material consumed. So there are two ways. Either I can directly go to that cell which is which has cost of material consumed, which are these. And I can directly copy this segment, and actually it is going to be beneficial for me. I copy this section, which is cost of material consumed from cell number C41 and everything up to cell number J1, J43, C41 to J43. I copy this segment I come down and I paste everything as link. I delete this data from this three column, which is from cell number D127 to F129. Now, if what do we see? We find that everything is actually linked to the respective cells. What if we find after this, we have got this data. The next step is we are going to extract all the line items which are going to be part of COGS in other expenses. So we come to other expenses head, which is in cell number K90, and we start bifurcating them. Most of them are part of OPEX, 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 OPEX. These are part of OPEX. Conversion charges is going to be part of COGS. This is again OPEX, OPEX, and OPEX. So we have these line items which are coming from here, which is consumption of stores and spares and parts. So what I can do, I can actually copy this segment. So let me copy one by one. So again, consumption of stores and spares and part and its respective line items, copying them, and which is from cell number C90 to J91. I go down, I come to cell number C130 and paste special as link. Delete them. Select this array, which is the part of other expenses. I just press Ctrl I. Change the style to italics. I go back. I select repairs and maintenance of plant and equipment section. Copy. I come back to cell number C132 and paste it as link. I go back. Conversion charges in row number 106. Copy. Bring this in row number 133. And again, changing everything to italics, deleting the irrelevant cell linkages. And this is what we have. Let me also just reduce the size of this segment. Of what we are going to do is we are going to create a header which is going to be called as COGS from other expenses. So these are COGS from other expenses. With the line items, these would be our line items. I use Control R, and this is what we have. So the formula for cell number G134 is sum of G130 to G133. What do we have? We have COGS from other expenses. Now, next, what do? We come to cell number B135 and we write total COGS. And I select the array which is from B135 to P135, change the cell style to cost of goods sold. I use a sum function and I need to be careful because I don't need to select everything at a go. So I select the rows array from G127 to G129, comma, I select G134. So make sure you do not select the rows from 130 to 133 while selecting 134. Close the bracket and we have sum, and I'm going to just copy this to right. Now this is what we have, everything which is coming from cost of goods sold. We can also create this straight away for operating expenses as well. So let's come to cell number B137 and let's hard code operating expenses. We change the cell style to heading 4. We come to cell number C138 and we bring the first line item from the reported segment, which is employee benefit expenses. And apart from employee benefit expenses, we have OPEX coming from other expenses. So in cell number C138, we link this employee benefit expenses, we delete this 152.3, we come back, other expenses, and now all the expenses in other expenses apart from COGS will be part of your other expenses. So basically, let's understand that the total value of your other expenses, which is for instance for March 22, it is 2632.20. From this 2632.20, the other expenses is other expenses which is bifurcated to COGS is 932.3. So where will remaining go? It will go to operating expenses. So we can use a formula actually, which is going to be the total other expenses minus the COGS from other expenses. COGS coming from other expenses. So leftover is going to go to our operating expenses. We select this. We copy the same formula for all the historic years. Then we come to cell number B140. We hard code total operating expenses. We select the array from B140 to P140. We change the cell style to subtotal. We use a sum function. We close the bracket and we use Control R for all the cells. And then we select the whole of this segment. I can also take one of the segment. For total operating expenses, I go up and I come to cell number C9. Okay. And I paste it as link in cell number G9. G9. Now, just the way as I have linked total operating expenses, we will also link the same in row number 7, which is for total COGS. So we come down, the row for COGS, which is 135, will get linked to cell number G7. Control Alt V, Alt L, and we have COGS. So this COGS is coming from where? So see the link. This is coming from the COGS, this one. And where is total operating expenses coming from? This is coming from total operating expenses of these line items, which is in row number 140. What do? We group the other expenses subheads. Let's group them, which is from row number 90 up to row number 110, 111, Alt A G G. I group everything in COGS as well, selecting all the rows, Alt A G G. And let's also group the operating expenses as well from 138 to 140, Alt A G G. We come back. Now there are other line items which are left out. Now these are going to be relatively similar for us. So depreciation amortization, I'm just using equals to function. So cell number G11 will be equals to cell number G46. That's it, nothing else. I select this and I use Control R. Now make sure while I have linked the depreciation amortization from historical elements, I am not copying the elements to right. For total operating expenses, I have copied the same formula to right. Make sure this you are not going to copy towards right for depreciation amortization. Same goes for interest expenses. We are going to get this data from our historical report itself. So this is going to be finance expenses. I'm copying this time and pasting as a link. It's up to you the way you want to do it. Control Alt V, Alt L. Again, other income will be in row number is actually in row number 138. I copy this segment, which is other income. I copy this. I go up. I come to this segment, which is other income in row number 14. Control Alt V, Alt L. Now, in row number 16, we want to have tax expenses. We go down and we will find a row which will give us total tax amount. So if we look at two types of tax, which is current tax and deferred tax, if we just select these two cells, which is G5556, we find the sum to be 562.40. So which is same to this. So basically what we can do, we can just copy this particular row, which is array from G57 to J57, copy, Control C, and we paste this at tax expenses. We come to HCI, non-controlling share. We go down and in row number 77, we have NCI. So directly we copy this and link it. For NCI, we don't need to do anything, any adjustment. Then we add this associates, profits from associates and JV. It doesn't needs to be in bold. This is equals to G50, which is in row number 50. If you see, we have share of a loss in associates and JVs. So again, linking this, Control R. G52, we have exceptional item, which is exceptions. We go up in cell number G20 and we are linking this. So this is what we have, which is net income normalized. This is the pro forma which we had constructed. And here we have all the historic data. This marks the completion of extracting historical information for income statement and normalizing them into our own model, into our own structure.